Lakshmi and Alakshmi. The question to you is, the range of topics you've covered is so wide. How long does it take to write poems on such a varied topics? I mean, do you just get up one morning and write a poem on one topic and then just move to the next, or does it take a huge amount of time to sort of percolate between your poems?
Lakshmi, most of my poems are rather short. So when something sort of wells up, I write. Certainly not the first thing in the morning, more likely midnight. and it has to be something quite intensive and something that I just have to write at that time. And these little poems just gather over time. They're pigeonholed here and there in the house. I don't write systematically into a diary or anything. Then comes a time when I feel maybe I'll sort them out and put them in sections. The first book had no sections. The second one, as Namita said, has 5 sections.
Why did you christen it Signing in the Air?
Signing in the Air. Yeah. The Signing in the Air actually shows my rising awareness that everything is impermanent. And quite often when I watch the sky in the evening, we see clouds form and then they separate. And of course I was also reading Kalidas's Meghdut at that time. And I felt there is no signature in the air ever. And yet all of us believe that we have identity. It's a very big word for us. It's getting bigger and bigger, capital I. But what identity do we have? So whatever you sign that is imprint of your own, is actually nothing. It'll vaporize in no time at all. So that's why, although there is this vast range of subjects that Rakshanda and Namita and Lakshmi just said, it's because I see this impermanence everywhere.
When I first read this quickly, not Singing in the Air.
There's a lovely collection by Kailash Vajpayee, the Hindi poet.
Hawa Mein.
Hi Manvira, congratulations Mala. My brief question to you is, how much of your book is your autobiography?
How autobiographical?
How much of it is?
This book is your autobiography. The last poem, can you read on Shamali?
Some of it is autobiographical in the sense that there is a deep attachment that I have to my parents who are no more and haven't been around for a very long time, and to the house in Jaipur that I'm always running away to. I don't know what I'm running away from except the pollution of Delhi, but I do have a very sentimental attachment to Jaipur. The people, the place, the memories of childhood. So to that extent, it's based on some autobiographical moments.
The last poem is beautiful.
The last poem is about my mother, because our family home is called Shamoli, which is actually the home that Rabindranath Tagore gave to his own home. And my father and mother both being Bengalis, everybody in the family was Bengali. He always imagined that he would go back to Shantiniketan where his ancestors came from, but never did. So he built a home in the desert but called it Shamoli.
And the poem which he enacted, it's from the Bolpur area, Shautali.
Yes, that's why. That's why I do go back. I used to go regularly. Now I go less, but I used to spend a lot of my time in the Shautal areas near Bolpur, because I also do a lot of voluntary work for women. And there were 2 or 3 villages that I had got to know very well.
Thank you.
I would like to say something. While going through these poems and Signing in the Air, I observed that there is a lot of hankering for the past, for the lost world and its glamour, be it the poems like Jaipur, Jalebis in Jaipur, or Pitara, the Wooden Chest, or Nani's Magic Meals, etc. So, what would you like to say about it?
I hope it's not overdoing the nostalgia, because no, I'm very, very modernist in my preferences. But I don't want the past to be forgotten. And as to Jalebis in Jaipur, it's an everyday event even now.
Any other question? Yeah, please.
Hello ma'am. Congratulations on this book, and I'm really intrigued by Bindi, the third eye, especially the closing lines. you're right. She can invite the chakra's volatile energy to thwart the violence against women. Awareness is all. This is very deep. And, looking at all the violence that's going around against women, may I know what prompted you to use these very lines and what is the, essence that is behind these lines? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very interesting question, especially coming from you who've done so much work in Manipur. And the violence that is everywhere, and we see it, we hear it, and unfortunately some of us experience it also. And it's my empathy for it. It just came, the line came, because when I was thinking about violence against women, it was not against a particular woman, but it's in the air. And it's in our history, it's in our sociology, our geography, our everyday work and experience. So that's why I put that line in.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Anil also wants to ask you.
Madam, good evening and wonderful work. Heartiest congratulations from me and Lizzie, both of us, from your erstwhile department and present department and future department.
So very nice, very well.
For that part, I see that there is a lot of mythology, Indian mythology in your works. Not just Sita, Radha, Lakshmi, but in poetry. How much of the reader's knowledge do you take for granted? Or in other words, I say, what kind of readership do you aim for? And how do you negotiate this very intense preoccupation with mythology in your works, with the not so strong background of your readers in this particular domain? How do you negotiate the space between the two?
Thank you, Anil, for that question. The mythology deeply interests me, but I will not write footnotes. It appeals to people who know the names. I mean, the name of Hidimba and Holika in this book, or Ahalya or Lakshmi, is well known. But I'm interested in marginal women. That's why that poem on Lakshmi. The marginal women who I think have been misrepresented in our mainstream texts. So I'm interested in giving a voice to them. So people will have to know the original patriarchal story in order to understand my alternative story to them. And the stories are not made up. It's only giving them a certain kind of vocabulary and power of speech.
Anilji, I personally appreciate your question, and being the publisher of this book, let me add to Professor Lal's response. Signing in the Air, be it Signing in the Air or her previous book, Professor Mala Shilal's book is meant for disciplined readers of poetry.
Yeah, your question. Yeah, Professor Mal, your poetry is in the form of prose. Poetry is in the form of prose. Eminent Gulzar used to say that best poetry is if it is in prose, and best prose is if it is written poetry. What do you think?
I don't know if it is in prose, because I must admit that I'm not terribly good at technical prosody. I write poetry as I think it can put across my ideas in phrases and perhaps not in the paragraphs.
So you don't insist on cat, bat and mat?
No, I don't insist on Jack and Jill went up the hill either. So I write as it comes. I write both prose and poetry.
And may I add to your question?
It's a new genre.
I hope you remember that particular famous line, always be a poet even in prose. It's by Charles Baudelaire.
Yeah.
I don't really have a question for you, Professor Lal, but a passing thought which is being provoked by the fact that I'm very happy that you picked Olokki as one of your characters as one of the poems. And I'm just wondering, because it started a thought process in my head, where Tagore has actually celebrated Olokki when in Tashir Desh, the Rajputru sets out on his journey, and the whole play is based on that
saying that Lokhire harai jodi alokhire paboi. So that was his kind of victory call. So whether this has crossed your mind while you were dealing with the Olokhi concept yourself is something that I'd like to just talk about. If it
Well,
is
I have a book on Tagore and the feminine for precisely the reason that you're talking about, Mo. That Tagore liked inverting things that were traditional. And that is perhaps what rubbed off on me, and my book I came out of that urge. That what is considered to be strength in a woman is seen to be a weakness. What is weakness traditionally is actually a strength. So this about Olokhi is in the same mode, I would say. And meanwhile, I think our
So performance time once again.
two more poems, and they are in your booklet.
Sure. Anupriya, welcome again.